One of our most common concepts when we come to meditation or work in the spiritual life or any other kind of training, brainwashing, culturalization or socialization process includes a discussion of the word belief. And in fact, it has become such a common word, so essential to almost every paradigm. Do I now sound like I'm talking like all of those people out there who say a great deal without saying anything at all?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. This word has become so overused and so overdone that when it comes to meditation and spiritual practice, it's important to have your own understanding of it. So from a spiritual perspective, when I say I have a belief in something, it means that I am actually accepting it without consciously knowing or having any kind of proof. So I have a belief that God is, and I practice that belief and develop this other virtue or quality of self called faith. The other use of the word is that I have an understanding of something, or I think I know something and I'm now going to work with it, practice it if you will, in order to get to know it so well that I no longer need a belief about it. It is just part of who I am. And that's some of the teachings of the Buddha, where meditation is a space of exploring and questioning and even challenging your beliefs. In today's society, belief works interchangeably for things like opinion, or a teaching, or a technical understanding of something, and doesn't quite connect to an emotional or intuitive feeling about it. In other words, it can be nothing more than a thought that has been so deeply entrenched in one's being that one accepts it without ever questioning, practicing, or testing it. And then, of course, we have beliefs that go beyond that into a cellular level understanding of self, and with entrenchment, with consistent and constant unconscious, subconscious, and conscious use of the belief, it becomes what we call in the spiritual world and for healing purposes an agreement. In other words, I have created such a commitment to the belief that I begin to live by it, to action myself from it, and to limit myself or expand myself with it. So, for example, I have an agreement with the universe that God and I are one. This is my agreement and I am living by it, and it's fabulous. I could, however, have an agreement that I am a worthless human being and poison myself with that for the rest of my life, which the universe will not object to, because that is the experience I am creating. Because of that, of course, that's my belief. That is my entrenched agreement, and living it is up to me. This is the power of free will. So, in our bodies and in our minds, in our hearts, in our understanding of the world, we are constantly living our beliefs. The problem is that we're not always living them consciously, and we're certainly not always living them intentionally. This understanding of a belief, or why I needed to work with it more deeply, from a spiritual perspective as well as a human perspective, arose particularly in the past week. And one of the things that I hear from human beings everywhere, even the people in my life, is that they are all willing to respect other people's beliefs, which is wonderful, really. I mean, it's what the spiritual world tells us, that we must respect other people's beliefs, that we must we don't have to understand, but that we must respect it in our thinking, and we must respect it in our actions, and we must respect it in our behaviors, meaning how we talk to people, how we treat their beliefs. We must be respectful of that. And we talk about this. I mean, everybody talks about it. But actually, I'm discovering that very few people are living it. And one of the reasons for that is that we all have a value system inside, where one belief is more valuable than another. And sometimes our beliefs are actually in conflict or confrontation with each other. Sometimes we may hold two completely opposing beliefs in the same mind, and when push comes to shove, when either one of them is challenged, we are unable to pick one by which to stand, by which to express oneself or action oneself. And this is part of our learning curve as human beings, that we must actually be tested and challenged. And this is where the value we place on a belief makes it a conviction. So conviction is one of the other things that comes to our belief systems and inspires one belief to be more dominant than others, or inspires us to live more passionately around one belief than another. In my experience, it takes ruthless honesty inside of oneself to be aware and then to live from the way we evaluate and prioritize our beliefs. First, we must be aware of the beliefs, and then we must be aware of how we are living them or not living them, whether or not we're paying lip service to them, and whether or not they are so deeply entrenched within us that they become agreements of self with self, agreements of self with the soul, agreements of self with God, so that they become the truth of who we are. Until they become the truth of who we are, they remain beliefs, something that we are practicing and garnering experience about and from, but not yet an integrated aspect of our being. So today's meditation is to take a look at beliefs. There's no good or bad. There's no judgment about it. When people talk in the spiritual world, particularly teachers like myself, we talk about overcoming your belief systems, and we should actually be more clear about this. We should talk about being challenged by self-limiting belief systems. We should talk about overcoming belief systems of victimhood. We should talk about all of those shadow self-belief systems that make us less in the world, as opposed to just using the phrase belief systems. Because there are some belief systems that we need to use in order to maintain intention. The belief or the understanding that the universe provides, for example, is a belief. It's not a notion. It is something you have to trust and practice faith in, so it is a belief. And that belief works. When people say gratitude, counting your blessings brings you closer to God and creates an expansive abundance awareness in your life, this is a belief. All of these thoughts, convictions, notions are beliefs. How we prioritize them and use them, whether they sit in our light selves or our shadow selves, we have to have an awareness of that for ourselves. And if all of our positive beliefs are in fact sitting in our shadow selves, wallowing in fear, then they are no longer shadow beliefs. They are merely a system of affirmations that you're trying to convince your brain can become true. And of course you should practice. Everybody goes through that stage of having to work with a thought or a notion until it becomes entrenched as a belief. And when it becomes entrenched as a belief and you start to live it and practice it, then it becomes an aspect of who you are until it becomes your own personal truth. But until then, when it is merely a notion, by all means, let us practice. Let us use it well. Let us teach the brain to think differently, even if the brain doesn't believe the thought itself. It's a very convoluted process, which is why today's meditation is going to be as easy and as short as possible for you to use it as an evaluation of your belief systems at any moment in time. So, let us begin. So let's all get very comfortable. And as is the usual practice, first we get completely present. Breathing in nice and deep, I ensure that I am present, here, now. I gather my energy from the rest of my day as I have lived it already, and I gather my energy back unto myself from the rest of the day as I intend to live it after meditation. I bring all of myself as is possible in this moment to this moment here, now. And I ground that into the earth energy so that I am stable and present. I place all of my bodies, my physical body, emotional body, mental body, and spiritual body on notice that we are in meditation, that they are to be active and working in harmony with each other for my highest good and the highest good of all parties to whom I am currently connected. Set a clear intention for all of my chakras to be open and active and available to the work. In other words, I set a clear intention for my spiritual bodies to work in accordance with my spiritual intelligence and to enhance and heal my emotional and mental intelligence in complete support of my physical intelligence. I acknowledge and accept that I am a multi-intelligence being. And just breathing gently, rest for a moment and let that one sink in. That as a physical being, all the way through to a spiritual being, I am a series of consciousness, different frequencies and types of consciousness working sometimes in harmony and sometimes in conflict or at different tangents for me, for I the human doing and I the soul, that I am in myself the very existence of different intelligences, different frequencies of consciousness, of which I may be aware or unaware. So just rest and breathe and get more and more relaxed. Invite your guides, angels, masters to be present. And there in your mind's eye, I want you to imagine that you are standing in a beautiful, light-filled room. Make the room as empty as possible. It can be completely empty, but filled with light. Large windows letting the sun shine in. Natural light. And see yourself standing in it. That the space around you is completely uncluttered. Here you may whirl and turn and prance and dance with no obstacles, nothing to stumble over other than your own 2 feet. You may swing your arms or swing a leg and feel the freedom of movement knowing there is nothing in your way, nothing to hinder you, nothing to confine you, nothing to inhibit you. And as you stand there feeling your capacity for the freedom of movement, feel the walls of the room moving further and further away from you, so that the light energy around you is expanding and the walls still there, but moving further and further away. Still within your command, so you are still in a room, but just moving further away. Giving you more space, more light, more freedom and room to play, to explore, to experiment, and to be with yourself. So take a moment to enjoy that space, completely uncluttered, safe, with the freedom of movement of your energy body and your physical body. You may choose to do cartwheels across the floor, or to simply dance. And as you are enjoying the space, I want you to notice that each of the walls is still present, still available, but no longer defining or confining. That each of those walls with windows offers you an escape from this room that is filled with light and space, offers you a way beyond the room. Even offers you a way into other rooms. And as is usual with most rooms, one of the walls has a door. Which offers you a more conventional way out of the room. So find the door on one of those four walls. And let us go exploring. Let us open the door, and on doing so, start to walk down the corridor on the other side of it. And for yourself, as you walk along this corridor, I want you to take a moment to feel, to sense, or to just know, is there light in the corridor? Does the corridor feel like it is going upward, downward, or is it simply a flat corridor? Is it straight? Does it curve around slightly? Does it feel like you're having an adventure, or is it simply a case of going from A to be. And as you move along the corridor, I want you to come to the end of it where there is a stairwell with a series of stairs taking us down. And again, is your stairwell a curving one that goes around a pole taking us downward in a beautiful spiral? Is it a straight and steep stairwell that simply goes straight down? Or is it one of those gentler stairwells that allows you to stroll down? However the stairs appears to you, let us start going down the stairs. Just step by step, I'm going to count you down the stairs until we all reach the end of the stairwell. 30, 29, 28. Keep going further and further down, step by step, breath by breath. Let the light follow you down. 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 9. Don't race ahead of the count. Take those stairs one by one, all the way down to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the last step down, let us step onto a landing where there are 4 doors taking you into 4 different rooms. You may intuitively choose any one of the 4 doors, whichever looks most interesting to you, whichever beckons intuitively. Simply open that door, making a note of which of the 4 doors in front of you have taken. Door 1, 2, 3, or 4. Door 1 is to your immediate right. And so on until we get to the last door to your immediate left. And once you have picked a door, simply open it and walk into it. And take a moment to rest, to get a feel for the room you're in. Get a feel for whether there is light in this room. Get a feel for yourself in this room. Is there a feeling of being comfortable or uncomfortable? Is it a familiar room? Is there a part of you that wishes to close the door and step back? Is there a part of you that wants to venture into the nooks and crannies of the room to see what is available in it? However you're feeling, remember that you are completely safe and that you may take stock of your surroundings. Become aware of what is in the room. If there are any objects or items, make a note of them. Make a note of their familiar or unfamiliar qualities. Make a note if there are people in the room or animals in the room or pictures of people and animals in the room. And make a note if there is furniture, specific pieces of furniture in the room. And let all of these details be committed and recorded to your short-term memory. Allow yourself to assimilate all the details. And when you have connected to everything in the space, and you can feel that it is yours, I want you to move further and further into the room, becoming more and more at home in it. Making yourself comfortable, allowing it to embrace you even as you move into a space of acceptance. This room and I are connected. We are one. It speaks to me of me. And get more comfortable, relax. Gaze around you. And as you gaze around you, are there any objects in the room that speak to you of your priorities? What is important to you? What does this room reflect as being most important to you? And what is the belief system that rules that priority? Simply allow it to come to you intuitively. Don't try to formulate the answers. Your body knows the feeling of truth as it arises. What is the belief or agreement that dominates or activates your priorities? And once you have recorded that in your short-term memory, I want you to find a book in the room. And look at the title. What is the first title that comes to mind when you gaze at it? And when you open the book, simply open the book to any page and there, intuitively, energetically, read the I am statement in the book. On whichever page you open to, there is a statement that says, I am, with a descriptive word that speaks to you, your identity, your being, your presence in the world. And turning the page, behind the I am statement is the word but. And what is the statement that follows that? I am, but. Let all of this be recorded, and if you are experiencing any shifts and changes in your physical body, simply allow it to be. Allow your physical body to recognize and acknowledge. And with complete respect for books, as always, close it gently, place it back where you found it, and turn to gaze around the room once more. The room begins to become more interesting by the moment. Please check in your room if you have any clocks. Please check if you have any crystals. Check if you have more walls than windows. Check if you have a filing cabinet or any other piece of furniture that allows for the same kind of storage. Check if you have any musical instruments or electronic gadgets. Check if your room has anything natural in it, any plants, any living animals. And then head towards the door once more. And as you reach down to turn the doorknob to let yourself out, please check if this door has a key and a lock. And then very gently let yourself out of the room and return to the stairs. Just stand on the landing for a moment and breathe and relax, allowing all of the information to come together. And then let us come back all the way up the stairs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. We are now back on the floor we started on. Let us make our way down the corridor once more, back into the original room where all is light and bright and clear. Where you may once again feel the freedom of movement. Of your body, mind, heart, and spirit. And on a nice deep breath in, let all of the energy systems, all of the knowing and sensing and feeling and intending dissipate out of your mind. Get grounded and bring yourself back to this moment, here and now.